But what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and do the deal of the week.
Yeah, we're gonna take a look at some deal of the week properties here, and we're gonna go online to do that. And so what we're gonna do here, let's just exit out of this so we can hop online here. All right, so we're gonna start here on the website, and we are in the online auction. We're in the online auction section, and from here we're in the online tax lien auction section here. So we're going to scroll down into Colorado here.
Yeah, well, Colorado has their auctions taking place right now, and there's still time to get registered for a lot of them. And so it's probably a good time to go through and talk a little bit about Colorado, how they work, because there's always going to be important things to know when looking at any of these tax lien auctions, because the rules are going to be different from state to state.
Yeah, that is a good point. And it can be pretty dramatically different with tax liens. It's important to understand the rules so you understand exactly, how you're making the interest, what you're making the interest on. There's a lot of information, how exactly the foreclosure works, what roll-up you've got to worry about or not worry about. But a good place to begin with an auction like this is just right here under like the bidding rules or auction rules. That's going to be a great place to start because you'll get a lot of questions answered here that include information like, for instance, what the requirements are in order to participate in the sale, and important stuff like that. Like in this case, it looks like they have a 10% deposit required in order to participate.
Yeah, and it looks like that we've got up until 10:30 to deposit it. So there's still time to participate in this auction. They're also going to require you to send in an IRS W-9 form because they're going to have to report the interest you've earned to the IRS. So there will be that involved. When we're looking at the bidding information, we can see a number of different things that are interesting as well. The minimum starting bid for each tax lien is equal to the amount of unpaid taxes, interest, penalties, and fees. And then the bid is going to increase by $1. So if we're looking at $1,000 tax lien, then whoever would bid, $1,001 would be the first bidder.
Yeah, something else that's kind of interesting that we can see is under the bidding, we can see the premiums on winning bids are a cost of securing the tax lien and are not returned, nor do they draw interest. That's important to know too. So, they have a premium, that they use to establish a high bidder, but it's important on, whatever premium you're paying there, it's not going to get returned, and you don't earn interest on it either. They consider it a cost of securing the tax lien. So that's another important thing to understand about these particular auctions.
Yeah, I mean, Shade brings up a good point. That is incredibly important to understand because in some areas, you may get that premium back. If the property ends up redeeming, the owner will have to go ahead and pay that premium. And so investors will, even if they may not earn interest on that premium, they still are going to bid knowing that they're going to get that premium back. Here in Colorado, you're not going to get that premium back, which means that you're going to need to keep that in mind when you're bidding on these properties, because you wouldn't want a premium bid, thousands and thousands of dollars over the cost, because you're not going to be winning any money if we're looking at $1,000 tax lien.
Another thing that's interesting here is under interest, you can see when redeemed, your certificate will pay 9 points over the Federal Reserve. Certificates will earn 15% for the current year's sale, except for erroneous sales, which will receive 2 points above the discount rate, but no lower than 8%. So it looks like certificates are going to earn 15% this year.
Yeah, that is a pretty good rate, especially the federal discount rate has gone up quite a bit, which has helped that go higher. Also it says that underneath, Yes, sorry. Thank you. Taxes, that you can have the opportunity to pay them, and they'll be essentially endorsed into your lien, and you'll accrue the same interest as your certificate. And so that's something also people are looking at when they're bidding on tax lien certificates is, okay, I'm going to get that 15%. And if they end up, going delinquent the second year and the third year, I can go ahead and pay those taxes off and it'll be increased into my tax lien. So, and then I can be earning interest off of those additional second and third year as well.
Something else that's interesting is if there are subsequent taxes, they're going to give you the chance to, to buy them, and basically add them, to the liens that you've got. And for a lot of investors, that makes sense because if you did get the chance to foreclose on them, you would end up paying them off anyway. And so for a lot of investors, they are interested in trying to get any subsequent liens that come up. And so that's something that's good to know. It also tells us if the property is in a bankruptcy, subsequent taxes cannot be endorsed. Really, and we've talked about bankruptcies before, where that's just them basically saying if a bankruptcy comes up, then we may not be able to continue to do it. Doesn't mean though that you're gonna somehow not get your money back. You'll still get your money back.
Yeah, and underneath the treasurer's deed, we can see some additional information. It says a majority of tax liens are redeemed, which of course is true. But it says a treasurer's deed may be applied for 3 years after the date of sale if the tax liens remain undeed. A deposit is required to cover expenses. And so what this tells us is this county is a self-executing county where you're going to have to contact them and also pay a deposit to cover the expenses, but the county will actually be the one doing and issuing the deed on the property. You won't need to contact a lawyer outside of it.
Yeah, it's nice to have them handle the foreclosure like that, so that you don't have to hire it out. But again, though, you are going to have to pay for, the cost to foreclose, which is going to include any other, taxes that are owed on the property. Interesting though, right below that section, it says tax liens expire and are canceled after 15 years if they remain unredeemed. A 15-year life cycle, though, for a tax lien is a pretty good long time. And what that also tells us is that there is the potential in Colorado for 15 years worth of roll-up, potentially. Or in other words, you could have 15 years worth of tax liens because tax liens are usually issued once a year. It basically means though that you could have up to 15 years worth of tax liens against a property, and that can amount to a very large amount if you're dealing with just a delinquent amount that's constantly accruing interest. Then that can be a pretty big amount. So it means that roll up is something we'll want to watch out for.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, within 15 years, I think that's probably the longest in the country. And to kind of give you an idea of how that premium works, let's say that tax lien starts at $1,000. Well, in a year's worth of interest at 15%, we would essentially, earn $150. Well, when you're bidding, you're starting at 1,000. How much of that 150 are of the interest that you may win over that year are you willing to bid? Usually when we're doing these kind of auctions, we like to try to keep it to about 1 to 2 months, where the first month or 2 months, we're not going to really earn anything because we've already eaten our premium into it. But then after that time frame, that's where we would start earning interest. But if you suddenly, paid $150 on that tax lien, over the 1,000 amount, so you paid 1,150, then suddenly you would lose all of your interest in that year on that tax lien certificate. And if it redeemed any time earlier than that, then you would just be losing that much more money.
Yeah, which is definitely not what we want to do here. Now, let's take a look at some of the liens that are coming up in this auction. So we can do that by clicking on the preview items for sale here, and from here it gives us it tells us the tax year. So you see these are all for 2022 tax year, and then we can see the face amount here. and we can click on that to learn more information about the property. And so we've got a variety of different types of property here. I'm sure they're represented. We have things like, let's click on it. So $7,000 lien, and let's see what it is. So $7,000 lien against, it's commercial property here.
Yeah, you can see, it's showing a value of, what is that, 258 plus 71?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird how it's split up like that. Oh, appraised and assessed value, I see. So one of them is the appraised value is a 258. The assessed value is the one that's down below that. And so they're giving it a value there of 258. We can see the address here of the property. And
Yeah, you can also click on that photo and it'll pull up a photo.
oh, I thought I could go a little bigger than that here. There you can see the image of it. And like we're saying, it looks like it's a commercial property. And so, yeah, the $250,000 value on it is probably, well, we could say that we could just treat that like that's a value, but it's probably lower than than what the actual value on the property is. But again, it's only a $7,000 lien, so your money is highly secure with a property like this, and we could look into it a little bit more, and figure out more information about the property depending on how long we want to look into it.
Yeah, well, with any tax lien that we're seriously going to buy, we're going to do a little bit more due diligence. If you guys have listened to our trainings about the first 6 steps of due diligence or research, that's kind of what we're going to be doing with the tax lien certificate, getting an idea of the location, seeing what we can see with any type of satellite view, any type of street view on the property, and also look for any type, especially with a structured property, any type of serious damage, whether we can see that through a satellite view or a street view, that would keep us from investing in the tax lien certificate. But overall, this really looks pretty good, and it looks like the photo is within this last year.
Yeah, yeah, the photo is very new. It's released from January of 2023, and so not that old of a photo. It looks like the business was operating at the time, and the building itself actually looks like it's in decent shape. We can see it's got some big rooftop units there, probably big AC units, or it could be something for ventilation, but probably the AC units, I'm guessing.
It says something about custom creation, so it could be, a vent system if they're doing any type of painting or something, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, it does say automotive refinishes, custom and exotic paints.
Well, and chances are this tax lien will, be paid off, and you'll earn your interest rate on it. But we have seen some pretty awesome properties end up picking up through tax lien certificate auctions in Colorado.
Yeah, here's one for $5,000 lien. Looks like this one's actually against well, let's take a look and see. So is it commercial? Oh,
I can't tell if that's apartments with the U-Haul. I think it might be an apartment building.
yeah, I think so too. Let's see.
There's that aerial right there.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
I was having kind of issues with one of them earlier.
There we go. Got to click over here. And oh yeah, it does. It looks like it's all of those things that we were looking at there in the image. Those apartments.
Yeah, it's probably an eightplex, I would think.
Yeah, yeah, that
It
makes
could be a
sense.
sixplex.
Well, for $5,000, your money is highly secure because again, this is like $1 million property at least, the appraised value for 2023 is 900,000. And so, yeah, probably at least $1 million property and only, $5,000 in for the tax lien itself. That's like, it's a tiny fraction of what this property is estimated to be worth.
Well, and this record shows us some information as well. I mean, we can get as we're looking at this, we're going to look and see, is it an owner occupied property? Well, this one looks like it's owned through some type of company. And, also in looking at the address, we'll see, is it an out-of-state investor? And as we get into, a tax deed investor, that's really where we can find out some additional information by looking in the deed. Scroll down a little further. I just want to see if it says any. I want to see if it has some of the building information. It just shows the square footage. I was hoping to see if it was built in 1980, so it's fairly new.
Yeah. Yeah, it is relatively new here. Apartment low rise, 1 to 3. So there's 10 bedrooms.
It's probably 5 apartments.
Yeah.
5 2-bedroom, 1 bath.
Yeah, that makes sense. Your money's highly secure, and really there are all kinds of investments here, whether you want to spend a fairly small amount, on something. I mean, let's see, $1,100 here. Let's take a look at this. For $1,100, this is like a $500,000 property. It's crazy. Yeah, that's a home. So your $1,100 tax lien is against a single family home, and that's valued at 455,000. It's estimating here. So that's an incredible level of security there to it. That the lien to value ratio is off the charts. Where you have the lien represents such a tiny percentage of the property's value. On the flip side of that, you can also look and it's interesting how the numbers work out. Like that was probably a $500,000 property. Here we have a $43,000 lien. And if we look at this one, this property is appraised value 1.86 million. So almost $2 million. And if we look at it, oh, that's funny. Let's see what this is.
That was not what I was expecting.
No, and it's not what shows up here on the site address here. I'll show you here. Okay, so we can see the overhead image of it here, and it's this square, this rectangle right here. And if we go down there to the street level, it's actually this building right here. Which it's like a behavioral health care place.
Yeah, well, and where we could double check that as well is just to check the county map and make sure that it matches up with what we're looking at as far as the address is concerned. Because that photo, I'm thinking that photo, we'd have to see what year this was built, but I'm thinking this is probably pretty new, and that photo may have been what was on the property before that new building was built.
Yeah, that's probably true. It probably that probably was what it looked like before they did this. Yeah, there we go. There was where we can see. So that is our property right there.
Yep, it matches up completely. So I would think that photo was from before this was taken. Scroll down a little farther on the record and see if we can see when this property was built. Oh, 1979. Maybe not then. I don't know why they have the wrong photo.
Yeah, it could just be just an accident there, or they just have the wrong one. But yeah, you can see how in both cases though, whether you've got $1,000 lien on a property that's worth nearly 500,000, or you have a $45,000 lien on a property that's valued at over 2 million. In both cases, the money is highly secure, and in both cases, there's a very high chance that the lien is just going to redeem, because that's usually what happens, especially with valuable properties like these, they rarely are going to get, lost to foreclosure because of the taxes alone.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and one strategy that we'll look at as well as we're looking through a list like this is some of these properties are going to be nicer and they're going to probably be more aggressive in their bidding. Sometimes you can look at these 700, 500, $1,000 liens that are essentially on a good valuable piece of land where you can maybe earn a higher interest rate, and you're also going to have a better chance of maybe actually acquiring the property. In fact, we had one of our students who acquired a really nice mobile home on 5 acres through a taxing certificate in Colorado just recently. So there, you can acquire property, but it's really going to be more of a numbers game.
Oh, this one might be landlocked.
I thought it might be, but I think that the street on the left-hand side.
That counts as official access, that little
Oh,
chunk.
well, yeah, I see what you're saying. There's kind of that lot right in front of the road as well.
Yeah.
That's where we'd have to check and see, looking at that deed on the other property and also the deed on this property, and see, is there any type of easement that would allow you to access the property through that lot that's in front of it. So if you're looking at the map, you can see that lot with the two cars there to the left-hand side of it. That's where we would be concerned about having legal access, because it looks like there's a vacant lot between it.
Yeah.
From overhead, it looked like it was kind of a little bit on the rough side.
Yeah, it did look a little bit rough. Interesting. Let's see what some of these are. This one was a big one too. This was like an $80,000 lien. And in this case, it is storage warehouse. This is going to be even bigger. This is worth like $5 million. Let's see what this is. It's some kind of big. Oh, it looks like it was it being constructed at the time?
I couldn't tell if that was the construction or if it was some type of like futuristic, design or something.
Well, let's just go take a look at it. It might be easier. Oh, okay. So, yeah, it's this place called Gen 3 Construction. Oh, it's this. It's more than. It all looked like one building, didn't it?
Flip around. It's that one.
Oh, there we go. Okay, that makes sense. It has been, I mean, that looks like a pretty new construction. Or if not new, for building the whole thing, it's been refurbished or updated recently.
I think that's what the picture was. As I think this is probably an older building. We can look at the year, but I'm gonna bet it's older than that. I think it's been redone. Yeah, see, it's built in 1970. So I think that within the last couple of years, this has been completely, rehauled.
Yeah, it sold for $3 million in 2017.
Yeah, probably after that time between when it got purchased and now. When was that photo on Google taken? In fact, that's one thing we can point out.
July of 2022.
Yeah, most of you probably know, but down there in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see whenever the street view was taken. So that'll at least give us an idea of when the photo was taken.
Yeah, which, yeah, you can see, that is a very nice setup there, big building. And all of it has been updated there.
That's a long building.
Yeah, it really is. It really is quite long.
Yeah, it's big.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how all of these, I mean, every single one of these so far has been, I think, I wouldn't hesitate so far I think to bid on any of these. Even the one we saw for $700 or so was not that bad.
Well, and chances are you're going to get paid off, and also the value of that property was quite high.
Yeah,
just because everything, in this area of Colorado is valued high. Even a
yeah,
little house like this.
yeah. Even a little house like this is valued very high. It's maybe a $2,000 lien, but valued at almost 500,000. So, yeah, all of these liens I think are going to offer that same kind of investment security where, uh, you know, eh, from an investment perspective, they're going to make sense as long as you don't invest too much, like we said, into that premium. I think the investment's going to make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we're looking here within a nicer county within Colorado where the property values are going to be a little bit higher. But you can see that, this is just one page of 39 pages. So there's going to be a lot of tax lien certificates. Sometimes we'll go ahead and start researching them depending on cost. So, if you had a budget that you were looking to invest, then what we'd probably recommend doing is looking, and separating them by cost. So you can click at the top and it'll do it from the highest or the most expensive to the lowest, and then kind of figure out from there which tax liens fit within your investment bracket, and then also, from there, picking out some tax liens that you'd actually like to set up and bid on.
Look at that. That's another big apartment complex that was probably purchased there. Yeah, it is a big apartment built in, yeah, 2022, brand new, just still in the process there of being constructed.
So hopefully that gives you guys kind of a better idea of how Colorado works with their online auctions. In addition to real auction, they also have some being held on Zeus auctions, and so there's some different auctions taking place online. That if you're interested, go ahead and get signed up and participate in bidding. Even if you don't win it, if you haven't done it before, it's going to be worth putting in a deposit. You just need to put down 10% of what you're looking to invest. And if you don't win anything, you're going to get your deposit back. But at least you've gone through that effort. Me and Shade had to attend several different auctions before we actually won a property when we first got started 20 plus years ago. So you need to kind of get some practice in. Maybe you'll win something there at the first time. But I guess what I'm saying is participating in auctions is what's going to give you the opportunity to pick up those good deals that we see happen every day.
Yeah, yeah, it's like giving yourself at bats. You've got to give yourself the chance to swing there, and the only way you're going to do that is if you are participating in auctions.